Tom Segura is awesome. Like he's got multiple podcasts. He's got the one with his wife, which crushes. And then he's got the Two Bears, One Cave with Bert. And it's like they just that little circle of, maybe it's not that little anymore, but man,
dude,
there's his
wife
reach.
is hilarious.
Oh, he's super fun. I don't know which one of them is funny.
Too.
They're both super funny.
They're different. I've noticed like he seems so serious on the podcast when I see it compared to then you watch his comedy. And like if you see his podcast and then go watch his comedy, you're almost shocked. Like because it seems it's almost like it's such a different vibe. But his wife's comedy is funny. I didn't know they were married at first. And when I found out they were married, I'm like, okay, this is really great because they're making fun of each other in their material.
Oh, 100%. I love that he does it. Like he's a good example of somebody that went from like, they were talking about, I think Joe was talking about at some point. He's like 12 years ago, that guy was broke, like flat broke. And now he's like balling out of his mind, buying cars and all sorts of stuff. He wears Gucci shoes. He starts stuff now. He's like, let me give you let me give the poors some advice. He's like, you guys need to dress better. Like all you need to do, like if you're a poor, if you want to not look like a poor anymore, you just go to a tailor, like just get your clothes done. But it's just funny. Like he's got such an interesting comedy style, but he also was just completely broke not too long ago. And now he's just has so much money coming in.
Well, but isn't that how all of it is, right? Like
you
grind true. And you do this thing and like,
unless you grow up rich,
one day unless what?
Unless you just, you're just born into money.
Oh yeah. But I'm just saying, like, if you're starting something, like if you're in comedy or business or whatever, like there's just this time that it takes, and then it just clicks. Like I was having this conversation with a client yesterday, and I'm sitting here, I'm like, look, you're struggling with this one thing right now that every single person I've ever worked with struggles with. And what happens is that as soon as they figure it out, they see this immediate jump in income. It feels like overnight. They go from making a sale a week to making a sale a day in the course of a month, because one day something clicks, they've solved that one piece and it unlocks everything. And I think that like that's like just true in a lot of things. Like you just keep doing it until something happens. You don't know what the thing is going to be, but you just have to produce and you have to keep showing up and just like not give up. But I think that's true. There's a lot of that with these comedians and stuff.
Yeah, it was just an interesting parallel. It's like but they're doing it really well. They're doing it better than a lot of digital marketers are doing it, just because they're so prolific. They've got the skill. Yeah. I think you're right, man. I think it's the hook and the storytelling and all of that, and then they just are good at going. I mean, they're good at being in front of people, so they're good at being on camera. Mm-hmm. So then they can just jump on a podcast and riff or
and it's
bring
entertainment.
On interesting guests. It's funny.
Like it's one of those things like you have to learn how to be entertaining, like in your content, and that's, man,
they collaborate,
Yeah. But there's something too, like you just got to be yourself. Like, I think this is like the hardest thing that people don't realize. Like you're entertaining and you're weird. Like be weird. Be your weird.
That is tough.
Like if you just show up like the way you actually are, there's other people that are like that. And there's people that are going to like really vibe with you. And they're really gonna be like, oh man, I can relate. Like I really feel, that person's experience like that, I get that, because that's so much of it, man. Like that's like when I was talking to a guy yesterday and he's like, I've been trying to niche down for like the last 6 months. I'm like, what do you mean you've been trying to niche down for 6 months? Like, what's the problem you solve? And then like, go be you. Like you're your niche. Like, and it's so much, life's so much easier, especially with you're doing content, if it's like you're sharing your experience and where you are on the journey. Like when you're giving advice to yourself in the past that helped you get to where you are, and then you're giving tips to yourself on like the things you need to do to get to where you want to go, right? Like that you're dealing with. Cause like a lot of times, like if that's what you do, you're going to be successful, and other people are going to have those same problems, and they're going to be in your shoes, or they're going to be a couple of steps behind you, and they're going to like your personality. Like, so then it's just like, what's the problem you solve, and like infuse your other interests into it, like in who you are.